Welcome to Israel, where the nation is always striving to be the best of the best. Whether that means eliminating pesticides with new age farming methods or growing crops to send to the needy, Israel is constantly advancing. Both in terms of civilian life and in the terms of technology and facilities, the country never stops moving forward. On our immersion, we went to tour Lotem at Moshav Yokna'am with a program for people with disabilities to help them go out and experience nature. I thought it was incredible how aware Israel is of its citizens who are handicapped. The entire facility was built to cater to those with impaired abilities. In addition to trying new sensations through smell, the organization also made sure that the paths and trails were all sloped at 19 degrees or less for easy wheelchair access. Developers paid close attention to the edges of all the paths, which were raised to ensure that no one with hindered eyesight would wander off by accident. We volunteered at an organization called Lucket, whose primary goal is to improve the lives of the less fortunate by donating crops to the needy. Row after row of crops were being raised for the sole purpose of being donated to the hungry. And as if that wasn't enough, the organization sought out farmers with crops which are too old or damaged to sell, but were still perfectly edible to gather up and bring back for the needy. It felt amazing to know I was helping to feed hundreds of hungry families just by picking some vegetables. The opportunity to be able to participate in giving tzedakah in this hands-on manner was really a meaningful experience. Next, we helped trim overgrown brush in the Carmel forests. Since the terrible fire that destroyed numerous homes, scorched a large portion of the forest, and stole 44 lives, including our former teacher Rabbi Uriel Malka, Zerchan V'Livracha, Karen Kayem and RachelF have been making a conscious effort to cut down brush at the edges of the roads. This is in case there's another wildfire anytime in the future. The flames will have a harder time leaping across roads and will therefore be more efficiently contained. Israel uses events from the past to adapt to the future. While it was exhausting to hack away at wild foliage in the midday heat, it was quite fulfilling to know that we were helping to prevent future wildfires and possibly protect lives. Another place where we saw Israel's determination to never stop growing was in Sde Eliyahu, a religious Jewish kibbutz that also grew crops using all natural methods. After doing some research, Mario Levy, a kibbutznik in Sde Eliyahu, realized the spray pesticides they used were making the locals sick, and their farming methods have been 100% organic ever since. We learned how they use hawks and owls to eliminate rodents, and saw how donkeys are used as living lawnmowers to trim weeds. We learned how the kibbutz doesn't believe in plowing nearly as often as other farms do, as the soil has layers that are best left maintained and untouched. Our guide later showed us some bumblebees, and explained how they were the perfect natural pollinator. Pesticides and poisons had been replaced by animals and insects, machines had been replaced with mammals, and insect infestations are being dealt with using weeds and even other insects. I was blown away by how many different ways they had found natural solutions to everyday problems. About halfway through our trip, we spent a night in a city called Lod, which is an excellent example of Israeli perseverance, enhancement, and advancement. We are told that up until about 10 years ago, Lod had some of the highest crime rates in Israel. But today, the city is quickly growing and is starting to thrive, with the help of the Garin Tarani, dedicated families determined to build up the city into the fantastic place they all know it can become. It's a slow process, but with the commitment of many children and adults who moved into town with the specific purpose of restoring Lod, it's a worthwhile and very realistic goal. Israeli citizens aren't interested in letting poverty-stricken, crumbling cities remain in their deteriorating state. They're constantly looking to improve the ordinary and perfect the outstanding. Next, we visited Givar HaTachmoshet, Ammunition Hill. I developed an entirely new appreciation for Israel and the Old City while staring out onto the battlefield of trenches and bunkers. No matter what the goal of the site was, whether it was to teach visitors and raise awareness for the army, or simply preserve a historical battleground, it made me realize just how hard Israeli soldiers fought to capture even small segments of the land. Though Israel has plenty of battles still yet to be fought, hopefully none will cost so many brave soldiers their lives. Lastly, we visited a group called Stand With Us. Their goal is to teach students how to be advocates for Israel. Israel can't afford to just stand by and let haters hate and supporters remain silent. There's always a verbal war for and against the Jewish state, and it's the job of anyone and everyone who loves Israel to defend and promote it. This specific group strives to educate students on how to stand up and confidently and knowledgeably speak about Israel, and help the students go out and teach even more people about how amazing Israel really is. Stand With Us is actively seeking out people to turn from neutral parties into pro-Israel advocates. This verbal defense is just as valuable as the physical defense of the state, because so many people are constantly trying to attack Israel and bash it for simply existing. In this way, Israel is always looking to become bigger and better. With more supporters, the country can continue to thrive, and with more people standing up for Israel's rights, the dangers can shrink and the country can continue to grow. Every country has its threats and dangers, but Israel has more than its share of furious, angry haters with an internet connection and a phone line. Anyone that wants to attack Israel can and will, and it's the job of anyone who cares about the Jewish state to fight back and defend what we know is right. Israel is a gorgeous country filled with determined people, thriving businesses, mind-boggling new age technology, and a vast, colorful culture. The nation is never content with anything remaining just good or even great. Lotem, Leket, the Carmel Forests, Sde Eliyahu, Lod, Givat HaTachmoshet, and Stand With Us are just a few small examples of Israel and her people's determination to stay the best of the best. There's only one Jewish state, and there's just one true home, and it's important that it continues to always take the next step forward, and always seek to be the best of the best. Israel can't afford to be lethargic. There's always something new going on or being updated, and you can be sure years from now, the innovations will be so far advanced they're incomprehensible in this day and age. Israel is always striving to become the best it can be, and that's never going to change.